Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to learn about JavaScript hoisting. So to get started, if you go ahead and go into your project folder, go into the 31-hoisting folder, and the start subfolder, if you can open up main.js. Then in your browser, if you can go ahead and open up the index.html page, you should see hoisting on the web page. So JavaScript is really unique when compared to some other programming languages because it has a feature called hoisting. And what hoisting is, it is JavaScript's default behavior of moving your variable declarations to the top of your code before it is executed. And this is important to know because this is often an overlooked behavior of JavaScript, and it can often lead to bugs or errors in your code. So to see an example of hoisting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and declare a variable called x. And then below that, I'm going to go ahead and assign x a value. So I'm just going to assign it high. And then below that, I will go ahead and console log our variable. So if we go ahead and save and refresh our page, we should see our hi message get logged just as we expect it to do. And so by default, JavaScript will hoist all of our variable declarations to the top of our file before any of our other code gets executed. So our declaration of variable x here will be at the top of our file. So if I take this line of code and I actually place it below our console log, if we go ahead and save and refresh, we still get the same hi message that we got before. And that's because as I mentioned, JavaScript's going to take our declaration and it's going to place it above our code. So to see another example, what we're going to do is we're going to create two more variables. I'm going to do variable A, I'm going to set it to high, I'll do variable B, and I'll set it to there. So now if I do a console log, and I go ahead and log A and B, we should get our messages hi there. And what's happening in this case is JavaScript's taking our variable declaration, so var A, and then var B, and it's placing that at the top of our file. So for now, we're just going to go ahead and ignore this code here, and we're just going to pretend this is the top of our file. So then, JavaScript is going to go ahead and initialize our variables since we've already declared them. So A will equal high, B will equal there, and then we get our message. So this is important to note because JavaScript does not hoist the initializations. So if we do variable C, and I set it equal to high, and then if I go ahead and do our console log, and I do C and D, and if I do variable D equals there, what do we think will happen? So if we go ahead and save and refresh, we see immediately that our message is high and then undefined. And the reason for that is because, as I mentioned, JavaScript will not hoist the initialization. So to see the example of hoisting, what's happening is JavaScript is taking our variable C and moving our declaration line to the top of our file. It's taking our declaration line for variable D and add it to the top of our file. It will then have our initialization of C equals high, and then our console log statement runs. And at this point in time, D is undefined. It is declared, so it does exist, it's just undefined. And then we finally set our value of D down here, and so now there, D, if we console logged it, we should see our value. So let's go ahead and get rid of these two declarations, and we can see what happens. And we'll see that D is set to there. So one important thing to note with hoisting is that any variables that are declared with the let or the const keywords, those variables will not be hoisted. So to see an example of this, if I go ahead and do console.log h, and then down here, and then below that line, if I do let h equals high, what's going to happen is we should get an error, and that's because we're referencing a variable before it's declared initialized. So we'll go ahead and comment that out. So as I mentioned, this is really important to know because this is very unique to JavaScript. So generally, if you're using the var keyword, it's best practice to declare all of your variables at the beginning of your scope, since that's how JavaScript interprets the code.